Hi, everybody. Dan D. Federicis from Saratoga Report. Usually at this point, I say this is sponsored content. This is not sponsored content today. This is a news segment where I've asked Mayor Meg Kelly, former Mayor Meg Kelly, who was a two-term mayor, 2018 to 2021, to join us today to discuss and analyze perhaps the results, the election results Tuesday night. Mayor Kelly, thanks for joining us, and how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Dan. How are you?
Good. I told you I'm a little dragging from Tuesday night. I go to bed early, and I was at the inn at Saratoga till a couple minutes past midnight, and that's just not my normal rhythm. So I'll get there. And where did you watch the results? Where were
Well,
you?
I was at the inn. I was at Brookmere for a little bit, and then I went to the inn at Saratoga. But I was not there at midnight.
I was holed away in the corner, running up front to get results, then
Yeah.
sending them out on Saratoga Report. So there might have been you might have been the 10th person that told me you were there that I didn't see because I
Yeah.
was back in the corner.
Well, it was
Um,
really crowded, and I'm going to tell you, it was a slow go of results coming in, right?
well, it seemed like elsewhere there were. You couldn't get really anything online. You couldn't get anything
Yeah.
as usual, the Board of Elections and so forth. But I got to tip my hat to Adam Israel and Robin Dalton because they were the tabulators and they were going away and coming up with things. I thought they did well, and they were certainly beating over at Democratic headquarters. Abby Tignelia was over there, and we were conversing. And I was giving her the numbers from One Saratoga. She's like, "Oh, they don't have anything like that over here."
Wow.
So they were so I think with the One Saratoga grouping did the best in tabulating numbers. You're right; it was slow, but it
Yeah.
was faster than anybody else that I know of.
Hmm.
So what was Mayor Safford reelected? I don't know if everybody would have predicted that. So some other another newcomer, Jess Troisi, comes in. Joanne Kiernan wins.
Hmm.
I don't know if everyone would have predicted that. With national politics and things, you would have thought the Democrats had the upper hand. And BK Karamati did defeat Chuck Marshall. I think you and I, stepping aside from the new objective news point, you and I are big fans of Chuck Marshall, and we were both surprised and, in my case, saddened by that. I think Chuck is stellar. I also like Georgia Enger. He came short on his effort at county supervisor. It was his first run. Maybe he wants nothing to do with it again. Maybe this will give him another go in 2 years. But what were your overall impressions of all these results?
Well, I was very pleased because I am a huge supporter of the One Saratoga line, city over everything else, forget about all the politics and let's deal with the issues of the city. And I think that's the line that the people really went to this election. And I'm very thankful to Courtney DeLeonardis and Jane Y and Jay Partridge for really hanging in there and bringing this line back year after year, because it is making a difference. It is winning elections.
Yes.
Yeah. So I felt really, really elated for every one of them, except for my good friend Chuck Marshall. But you know what? The people of Saratoga Springs have spoken, and Chuck is a true professional and will make a smooth transition with BK, and he'll do what's right for the city. This is who he is.
I concur absolutely. And back to One Saratoga. Yeah, you're right. They are a difference maker, not just once, but twice, at least in the mayor's race. Different scenario last time with Chris Mathieson on the line, but he drew a lot of votes. Most of those votes came from Ron Kim, and that affected the results. And Mayor Safford was swept into office. And this time, Mayor Safford had the one Saratoga line, and he needed that line. In fact, all the candidates that won on the One Saratoga line needed it, with maybe the exception of Sarah Berger. I didn't analyze her votes. But she won by far. She clearly beat the other two candidates. So that is pretty impressive. What the Democrats now, the One Saratoga is independent. It doesn't, and they did endorse at least one Democrat this time, an independent, two Democrats, maybe three counting. So they have endorsed both Democrats and Republicans.
Yes.
But nonetheless, the traditional Democratic Party in this city, at least this election cycle and a little bit the last one, they have a problem. They don't have an answer for One Saratoga. What do you think
Well,
about
years ago, the Democratic Party split, and that's when One Saratoga was started. And it was the moderates to the far lefts, and that was the split. And so the moderates went to One Saratoga because they just care about the best for the city. And I do believe that most Saratogians, we just want to know that there's professionals in the city, running the city, doing the job, and that most people do not care if you're a Democrat, Republican, or One Saratoga. If you're going to do the job and do it well, that's who we want in there. And that this is telling, this One Saratoga line, because this is what people are looking at. They don't want to hear the bickering. They don't want to hear all that crackle in the background. They just want to see that the city's going to continue on the correct path. And with a couple of these administrations, it wasn't going to happen if we continued that way.
That's for sure. Dysfunctional. I used to have people email me from Florida. What is going on up there? You know, they're snowbirds, and they were like dismayed at what they see online and so forth. And it was just bad. That does create some pressure, right? For the mayor, he has a working majority. And you know, we have some newcomers, so we don't know how that'll play out. But either way, there are three. The mayor is now deputy, but soon to be Finance Commissioner Joanne Kiernan, Tim Cole. They have a working majority to get things done and to be functional. Do you see that as expectations from the electorate? Like,
I think, you know, even adding BK into this mix, I think it's going to be a great mix of people. I think that they're all on a professional page to do the right thing for the city. And I'm including BK in there. You know, I mean, I think that he's a nice man, and I think that he's going to do the best thing for the city. But I do believe that all of the bickering and that nonsense that you were seeing at the table, that will all go away. I have spoken to all of these individuals. I don't see any of that personality coming out, you know, that negativeness, the aggressive, you know, behavior. I think that, and I've spoken to them all, you know, except BK. And I think that, you know, hopefully they can all work together. You know, I mean, it is a trick. I'm going to tell you, I've been there, I've done that. And it's a trick to get everybody going on the same, you know, bus and moving in the same direction. But it can be done, and it takes good leadership, and it takes compromise, and it takes communication, and it's good hard work. And if you like that kind of work, then get in there and dig in. But there's no need for the negative, nasty behaviors that we've been seeing for the last 4 to 6 years. So
yeah, that we don't need to mirror what goes on in the country sometimes. Right. I was, you know, as sad as I was by Chuck, I was elated for, of course, the mayor. Joanne's a neighbor of mine, and I was really excited for Jess Troisi, a newcomer, not just to electoral politics, but really government. Yes. And she's a completely fresh face. And when I first started with her, she advertised with Saratoga Report pretty early, and I said to myself, "Wow, she's really green. Holy cow!" Yeah. Man, did I see her as a quick study and dedicated. Did you know she took on her own, paid for it on her own, the assessor's course?
Yeah. Well, you know, I actually had that awakening at the same moment when I saw that. And then she took an ethics class. I mean, she was doing her homework because she wants to be the best that she can be. But I've had several conversations with her. She's quite a woman. I mean, she really is quite a bright woman. And I really think that she's going to come in and really serve the city well in that department. It needs it. It needs it.
It does need it. And I don't know you well, but I don't think it's your style to trample. I would hope it's not my style, but I have to say, we needed to do a lot better than Dylan Moran in office there. And I think Jess Troisi is a great answer for that. It was time for a change. And I'm personally, from my perspective as a Saratogian, I was happy with that result.
Yeah, absolutely happy with that result. And I think that the numbers showed that a lot of people were happy with that result. That was a big one. So I just think that, I always say kindness goes a long way, and that was just lacking there. It was lacking. So we have to be able to communicate in a nice way towards each other and get some things done. I mean, when you have that negative energy and that negative behavior, it really stifles the whole city hall building. So,
Yeah, that video of Ron Kim having an argument with, I think, was somebody at Montanino's office a couple years ago. That was jarring. That was really,
jarring.
and the poor staff. The
Yeah.
staff were like just, oh my God, can you imagine working there?
Well, I still, talk to a lot of the employees there, and it's not a good environment. I mean, there's a lot of just unsettling, moments like that. Not that we see all the time. They tell me things that we're not seeing, on tape.
Okay.
So I think that it's going to be a new day for the employees, which deserve it. They deserve to have a nice group in there working and hopefully making it a much better environment to be in for the employees.
Yes, I didn't even think about this when I was jotting notes for this about that. I wanted to forget that. Let me transfer here a little bit. It's something I didn't preface with you, but I'm sure you'll be certainly able to talk about it. We send 2 new supervisors because Matt Veach, the only incumbent, Michelle ran for mayor. Matt Veach decided not after many terms not to run again. Well done, Matt. Good for you, going out on your own terms. But so we're sending 2 new, brand new supervisors to the county board of supervisors, and they're 2 Democrats in a board that I believe still will be controlled by Republicans. I know there were some Democratic gains in certain towns, but I still think I haven't heard that there's going to be any sort of flip of the power. So that could be challenging. And they're at least in Manita Sangvi's case, she's very outspoken, and that can sometimes create problems in a group that likes to get along. Do you have any viewpoint of sending two new people?
I mean, you're just going to relive the Tara Gaston supervisor era. That's what you're going to do. Again, you have to learn to work with the people that are there and that have been there for many, many years. And if you're going to come in and stir the pot, and you're going to be walking the same path as Tara Gaston. And she did, she got to a point where they didn't even put her on committees, I think. So, yeah. I mean, it's not the way to enter in there. But I do believe Manita, I don't think she'll have any kind of, inward direction into this supervisor role. And eventually probably will be a no-show in that role. That's what I feel. Okay. But I do think Sarah Berger, who, I've had my times with Sarah, but I'm going to tell you, I've spoken to her recently, and I have to give her credit where credit is due, because she definitely stuck to her guns, went with the One Saratoga line, and the Dems didn't like her doing that. So, the Democratic committee. So she stuck with it, and she said, no, this is what I'm about. I need to work with everyone. And especially if you're a Democrat going to the county, you need to have that One Saratoga line so people can see that you can work across party lines and you can maybe help, the city at the county level. And I think she did that really well. I think she did campaign really well with it.
I was impressed. And like you, I've had some hiccups with Sarah over the years. Yep. Mm-hmm. And I was so impressed with her focus and her determination in this campaign that it was, I don't want to say it was a different Sarah, because smart woman, accomplished woman, but it was just, she was just very, very focused on the task at hand. And we got along quite a bit talking along the way. We gave each other a big hug Tuesday night. I congratulated her. Mm-hmm. And back to Manita, I've worked with Manita a little bit, and I've seen really good things out of her at times. So I hope she does well there. I hope she does kind of see the lay of the land there and find ways to be effective. I think she can if she's disciplined and smart about it, and she is a smart woman. So I'm hoping, because I've had good relations with her over the years.
Well, I'm going to say we have to agree to disagree.
Okay. Okay, good. Hey, let me last thing here I want to talk about, and feel free if you had anything you want to bring up. In fact, let me stop here. Is there anything you wanted to bring up that we haven't had a chance to talk about yet?
Listen, I think that all the candidates worked really hard through this election cycle, and it was just a lot of work, a lot of effort. But again, I give the kudos to the One Saratoga team to bring that other line onto the ballot, and that's the difference of winning and losing for most of these candidates.
Yes, for at least in a couple cases, two cycles in a row now.
Right.
Yeah. And I want to bring up, I've been hearing more and more people, without me even soliciting this term, talking about charter change and charter reform, and that maybe there's maybe this is the time to look at the commission form of government, where, because it seems like more and more people, now this, I don't have a scientific data driven thing here, but just from my observations and other people telling me their observations, there are more people that see the downfall of this. I don't even know where you stand on it. Where do you see the issue going generally? And do you want to say anything on?
Yeah, I think that, when I was in office, we tried to update the current charter, and it got voted down. And I do believe that charter was probably the best thing that could have happened to the city if the voters knew what we were trying to do. Again, I go back to the people can choose, because this is their city government, but you have to choose the right people in the office for the government that you have. And if you don't have the right people in there, it looks like a hot mess. Yeah. So, I mean, when I was in office, we worked pretty well under this government. I mean, was it easy all the time? No, it wasn't. Would I prefer something else? I don't know. You still have to have the same people in, the seats that you have to work with. So you can always get a couple of, what I call knuckleheads in those seats, and then we'd have trouble again, right? It doesn't matter the form of government. I mean, I think that, in my mind, if there was a voter charter review coming up, I would hope that it would be a strong mayor. That would be the one that I would like to see if it was going to come. But if anything else, the updating of the current charter, that can be done. A lot of these things can be done right at the table. So I would say that get everything that you can update at the table done, and then the rest can go to referendum, or somebody brings it up that they want to change it to some other form of government. But Meg Kelly's opinion doesn't really matter. I think that my opinion is you have to have the right people in the right seats to get the work done, no matter what form of government you have.
Would it mitigate it, though? I guess I'll come back at you a little bit. Would it mitigate it if those people, when there is dysfunction, those people are limited to a legislative role and not in charge as an executive of an entire city department?
Well, the way it's set up, the way that I ran it in the mayor's office is that, basically I did a lot of legislation, and then my deputy did the administration piece. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think that worked beautifully for us. Okay. We had two different areas, and we would meet every day, and we'd talk about certain things. But I was always there to make the final decision on the administration side, but you should have a good deputy doing most of that work for you as, the commissioner.
Okay. Well, you say your opinion doesn't matter, but you have experience, unlike almost anyone else in city government here. So right. Your opinion matters. And I agree with you. I would like to see a strong mayor. I would like to see, I don't know where you are. I would like to see wards or, districts where I can call my council member and say, I got a problem here, and you represent this area of the city. I need you to address it. I can't do that now. I
think that, I go back and forth. I kind of like that idea just because of, we always had the East Side, West Side stuff going on in this city. And, the West Side always felt like they weren't, taken care of the way that they should be. And they didn't have people at the table a lot of times. So I'm saying wards might work. If you get somebody in your neighborhood that your neighborhood elects, then you go to that person and they have to go to the meeting and they have to state, what their constituents want. So I'd have to see it laid out, and like I said, we've done a lot of looking at different cities and how they function. I do know that I don't want a city manager, though. I'll say that for sure.
I am pro strong mayor. You're right. The city manager, I'm not so against it as much as you, but it sort of leaves me feeling empty.
Well, I like to vote people out if we don't like them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I come from, I'm from Buffalo. I lived in Albany for a while. We always had, not only do we have the strong mayor form of government, because virtually nobody has the commission form of government, but we also had strong mayors. They were really strong personalities. And sometimes they weren't as competent. When I lived in Albany, Jerry Jennings was mayor, and I did a little bit of work with him. And, he had his ups and downs as mayor. He had his good points and bad points, but it's just more comfortable to me to have a mayor that's actually a mayor. That's truly the mayor.
And the unfortunate thing, that you see is that even in our form of government, people think the mayor is the mayor, the strong mayor anyway, and it's not the case at all here. Listen, I went through that with the Black Lives Matter. I'm one voice at the table. I don't make solid decisions without the council's approval. So, that was so misconstrued, because people don't understand the form of government. So that is something that it would clarify all of that, and you would have one person that you go to. I think it would be, a cleaner way to go.
Yeah, I do feel sorry for Joe Citizen dialing City Hall to call the mayor's office on something that's a completely different department controlled by a commissioner. That it's like the poor citizen's like, I don't know this labyrinth of a city. So I do feel bad about that.
I do know. This is kind of funny. About a year ago, I called City Hall, and it was the same recording from when I was there. And I'm like, the woman that recorded it doesn't even work there anymore. So I was, I push buttons, it doesn't work. So it's a problem. So
Mayor Safford, are you listening to us right now? We got to address you're right, calling City Hall.
That's not Mayor Safford. See, that's not the mayor.
Okay, I made the same mistake I said Joe Citizen will make.
That is IT.
Okay, which falls under finance?
Yep, finance.
Okay, I did, as well as the city website, that is horrible at times to try to find information out of it. You really gotta get a pickaxe and shovel to get what you need there.
It is awful. I mean, I even just to go and look up an archive for a city council meeting, it's a trick. It's a trick.
I could do that for you, because every time I try find something current, I find something from 2006. I'm searching for something current, and I get sent. You use the search function, and I get buried into archives. I'm like, you got to be kidding me! I searched the current term, and the first thing that came up was from 2006. So that's my frustration.
I know.
So, excellent. Let's keep talking. Let's do this again every once a month or something. I enjoy talking to you. That's why I reached out. And good. So folks, and next time we're going to do this, I told you we'd do it live this time, and I had to pull that back, but I'd like to do it live, and people can actually send us questions on Facebook or something while we're doing it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Meg.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.